Months ago, she filed her legal complaint, and she's been saying that she's struggled to get out of bed and talking about how traumatized she was and how her children were suffering, which is a whole other topic, and it's horrifying that her children are suffering from this. That should never be happening. That's inexcusable.
You know those moments where a celebrity tries so hard to look like they're winning, but behind the scenes it's pure chaos? Yeah, that's Blake Lively right now. She filed this giant, splashy lawsuit, claims stacked so high it looked unstoppable. But here's the kicker. The whole thing is stitched together like a Halloween costume from Party City. The judge hasn't even ruled yet, and this case is already flatlining. Could this be one of the most embarrassing celebrity legal flops in recent memory? Stick around, because I've dug into the filings, the depositions, and the strategies. And what I found is wild.o, and before we dive in, make sure you hit subscribe. The second the judge drops that ruling, I'll be right back here breaking it all down for you. So let's start with how Blake came out swinging. She filed everything: harassment, retaliation, defamation, conspiracy, false light, you name it, she tossed it in. On paper, that sounds terrifying, like being hit with 10 dodgeballs at once. You'd think at least one might land, right? Here's the problem. Every claim looks impressive until you actually zoom in. Take her false light claim. It's supposed to protect your image if someone makes you look worse than reality, even if they didn't technically lie. Like if somebody posted a video of you tripping and slapped the caption "drunk again," when really you just caught your shoe. That's false light. But guess what? New York doesn't even recognize that claim. Zero. It's like trying to buy groceries with Monopoly money. The cashier isn't playing along. Filing that in a New York court was never going to fly.
What do you guys think of this situation? There are more things that we can take from this. Number one, her legal team and her PR team are either not on the same page at all, because I doubt that her legal team would advise this, or they don't maybe like her very much. They may not have great intentions here, frankly. And I also want to point out really quickly that people have had lawsuits dismissed because of situations like this. For example, if someone is injured in an accident and says that they can't do certain things as a result of their injuries, but then they post pictures of themselves on social media doing those things, that's actually a fairly common situation where people have had lawsuits and things like that dismissed.
Then there are her retaliation claims. Blake wanted to lean on California law as if it were her golden ticket. But in her own deposition, she admits, the movie wasn't shot in California. It was shot in New Jersey, with maybe a couple of days in LA at the tail end. That's like telling the referee you scored in one stadium when the game actually happened in another. She literally eliminated her own claims on record. And the more you look, the shakier it gets. She's trying to argue Wayfarer tanked her reputation. But let's be real, Blake's public controversies didn't start with them. Plantation wedding? Check. Defending Harvey Weinstein? Check. Feuds with co-stars? Double check. Wayfarer didn't invent the bad press. It's been chasing her since Gossip Girl. Trying to pin that on them is like blaming the rain for a flood when your basement's been leaking for years. What do you think about this strategy? Genius move gone wrong, or did she never have a chance from the start? Now here's where it gets messy, because this lawsuit isn't happening in a vacuum. Blake's reputation has been under fire for years. Remember her plantation-themed wedding? Or that aesthetic website that felt straight out of the antebellum South? People dragged her for that. She chose to star in a Woody Allen film right after all the allegations were public. Fans dragged her for that. She publicly defended Harvey Weinstein at one point. People never forgot.
This kind of reminds me of that kind of situation. Maybe not quite as bad, but not great. So what do you guys think of this situation? And I think it also is clear that Blake wants to have this narrative of she's fine and she hasn't been impacted by this situation, in particular her career. And she probably wants to still be famous too. But then that's kind of at odds with her lawsuit that's trying to say, oh, she's been so harmed emotionally by this situation.
And then you've got the petty. Co-star feuds, the awkward interviews, the snide comments. This has been a running pattern since her Gossip Girl days. So when Blake tries to argue that Wayfarer destroyed her image, it's laughable. Her controversies go back more than a decade. Wayfarer didn't create the fire. They just walked past the ashes. And here's what really stood out to me. Her husband, Ryan Reynolds, usually the first to post some cheeky supportive message, has been oddly silent. He'll post about his soccer team, he'll crack jokes on Twitter, but when it comes to Blake's lawsuit, radio silence, even on her birthday, even on Mother's Day. That's not just messy, that's calculated distance. Does that sound like coincidence to you? So let's talk strategy. Right now, the judge is just letting this circus play out until summary judgment. That's when the court decides which, if any, of her claims can even survive. And here's the brutal truth. Most of them are on life support. California law? Dead on arrival? New York law? Never applied in the first place. Federal harassment? Nearly impossible to prove when there's footage of you running the set like a boss. And her damages claims? She bragged about her hair care brand thriving. You can't say, my business was ruined, while also telling the world your sales are booming. That's like crying bankruptcy while live streaming your shopping spree. If she keeps pushing this, it could backfire spectacularly. She risks not just losing, but becoming a legal punchline. A cautionary tale. Could this backfire, or is it genius? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I really want to hear your take. Now, the ripple effects. Hollywood watches these cases closely. Studios don't like unpredictable stars. Co-stars don't like working with someone who drags everyone into messy lawsuits. We've seen this before. Look at Johnny Depp. Look at Amber Heard. Once lawsuits become bigger headlines than your projects, your career starts circling the drain. And if Ryan Reynolds really is distancing himself, that tells producers and investors everything they need to know. Even her own household isn't backing this play. So the fallout isn't just legal. It's reputational, financial, and personal. And once that credibility is gone, it's almost impossible to claw back. What do you think? Does she recover from this? Or is this her Hollywood expiration date? So here's the million-dollar question. Is this lawsuit the end of the act, or just another rewrite of the same old script? Because if history tells us anything, Blake has a habit of stumbling into controversies, brushing them off, and somehow rebranding herself again. But with this much legal baggage, is that even possible anymore? I'll be here with the receipts when the judge rules. Make sure to hit subscribe, like the video, and drop your predictions in the comments. Do you think Blake somehow drags this all the way to trial, or does it collapse before it even gets there? One thing's for sure, this story isn't finished. It's only getting messier.